I'm healing my relationship stuff, but I'm exhausted. Do you have any tips to deal with the weariness? I think that cut off, so I'm going to say it again. Do you have any tips on dealing with the weariness of healing your relationship stuff? That is the question I'm going to be answering today. I'm going to be answering that in relation to a video about being the cycle breaker in your family. It is linked up above. So we're going to get into that answer now. I'm going to give you 5 tips if you are feeling weary on this journey of healing your relationship stuff. And I'm going to also put the journaling prompts down below too, to really give you something to dig into when it comes to this work. So before we get into it, if you haven't met me before, I'm Cheryl Muir, relationship expert, and I help you to overcome a lifetime of heartbreak and find love, and also increase and improve the relationships in every area of your life, including the relationship with yourself, which we all know is the most important one. It's the relationship from which all other relationships are born. You know, the relationship we have with ourselves is so important. So let me read out the question that we have, and the person that asked the question would like to remain anonymous. We're going to respect that. So in relation to, are you the cycle breaker in your family? She says, okay, I realize I am one, and as much as I want to do it, it gets tiring because I feel so isolated. Any tips on dealing with this weariness, especially since I'm doing this not just in my family, but in other communities I'm in too? Oh my gosh, I hear you, I hear you, I hear you. So what I'm understanding from the scene, not only for the beautiful soul who asked the question, but for all of you that are watching now, what I understand this as is you come from a family that was maybe a little bit dysfunctional, and you're really the only one in your family line who is doing the inner work, who's going to therapy, who's hiring coaches, who's journaling, healing their inner child. And as a result of that, you're the cycle breaker in your family. You're the one who says, I see how this has been. I'm not going to let it continue this way. I'm going to change this. So you do stand alone a little bit in that. So I can understand where the isolation and the weariness comes from. So let's get into this then. The first thing I want to present to you is you're here to change the patterns in your family, not the people in your family. You're here to change the patterns in your family, not the people in your family. What does that mean? What that means is you're responsible for you. You're actually not responsible for your family members and whether or not they heal, right? What it felt like to me, and I might be misinterpreting this, but often with this pattern of feeling the weariness, is it feels like you're carrying the weight of your lineage on your shoulders. And that's a lot. That's a lot of responsibility. So just know that you're just here to heal your stuff, right? Your job is just to heal your stuff. The second point I want to make is that you said that you're feeling isolated and weary. Are you being supported? Are you being supported, or are you the supporter in every place that you go to? Are you the supporter in your family system, right? Whether you're living at home or not. Are you the one who's the mediator, the more self-aware one, probably, right? Are you the one who's the most self-aware in your friendship group? What about in the other communities you're part of, whether that's at your gym, your church, wherever it might be? Is there a situation you go to in your life where someone else is supporting you, or are you the supporter everywhere? Because that's exhausting. I know, because I've done it. So look at the people you're surrounding yourself with, and this might be a situation of deciding to get uncomfortable and deciding to surround yourself with people that are ahead of you on their journey. Because the thing is, when you're around people who are not able to support you, it's because they don't speak the language, they don't know how to. So when they're having a problem, you'll empathize, you'll listen, and then when you're needing support, they won't do any of that because they don't know how. Now, I'm not going to get into why that is because it's not really relevant, but what it does mean is you're not supported when you need to, and then that can feel really exhausting. Also, look into where are you overgiving, and where are you potentially being what's known as a high functioning codependent, right? Giving too much, giving more than you need to, and again, taking on that role of supporter. And also look at the unspoken agreements within your communities. Is there the unspoken agreement that you're the person who listens when people have a problem? Now, with this, sometimes people say, oh, but I'm just being nice. It's not being nice when it's killing you. That's something else altogether. That's a boundary issue. So look at where you're giving too much. And you might think, yeah, but how do I know, Cheryl? How do I know when I'm overgiving? Because it feels like shit. And you feel resentful. Yeah, you feel exhausted. And if you are overgiving, how can you create some phrases to make sure that that boundary is set? Like, I'm actually not able to hold space for you today, right? Or that sounds really hard. You know, it might be worth you hiring someone to talk to about that. And if those phrases feel like, oh God, I could never say that, and it makes you feel like throwing up, then that means there's a boundary issue at play, right? Point number 3, what specifically is causing you to feel weary? What specifically is causing you to feel weary? This might sound a bit obvious, but I'd really like you to journal on that and get really, really clear. What is it specifically that's causing this feeling of exhaustion and isolation? What's causing that? And the 4th point, which leads into it, is what do you need? Those two are tied together. What's causing you to feel weary and isolated? And what do you need? What you might need is to take a break, right, from personal development or from being the supporter. What you might need is to build a community of people who are on the journey with you, who are on the same level or maybe ahead of you. What you might need is to hire a coach or a counselor, right? You might need support, but what do you need? And how can you give that to yourself? And point number 5 is you can take a break from personal development. You can. It is allowed. You are permitted. Here is your permission slip. Have it. Take it. Taking a break from personal development isn't a bad thing. In fact, it's needed. It's known as integration. So if you've ever heard the term integration and you're like, what the fuck are people even talking about? Integration is, let's say you go on a retreat or you have a really heavy therapy or coaching session. It's having a week to just sit with it. Maybe journal on it a little bit more or meditate on it, but you're sitting with it. You're not piling on like extra stuff. Let's listen to the next audio book. Let's listen to the next podcast. Let's read the next book, like next thing. Instead, you're just allowing it to marinate. You leave a piece of salmon or something to marinate. Same kind of thing. You're just letting it just kind of sink in gradually. So you might need a week or 2 or more off from personal development. This is a marathon, not a sprint. And I think when we start off on the journey, and I'm not sure, my love, whereabouts you are on the journey, but when we start off on the journey, we get really like excited and gung-ho and then go all hell for leather and go really, really fast and then burn out. So you can take a break. It's okay. So let's go over those 5 points again. The first thing is you're here to change the patterns in your family, not the people in your family. So look at where you're maybe shouldering the responsibility of all the people in your family today, all the people in your family lineage past, and all the people in your family lineage future. Energetically and practically, that's a lot to carry. So just take that off your shoulders. You're responsible for healing you. As a result of that, other people in your family may heal and rise up and everything else, but that's actually not your responsibility. You're healing your stuff. That's your job. That's your main job. Second thing, are you being supported? Are you the supporter everywhere? Where are you overgiving, and where are you perhaps being a high-functioning codependent and really giving more than is asked? And where are there those unspoken agreements of you'll sit there for 3 hours, listen to someone's problems, and they won't ask how you are? Just look at some of the dynamics that are playing out in your communities where you're feeling drained, and look at where some boundaries need to be set, or you might need to specify some preferences or desires like, hey, I can totally listen to you today. I've actually just got 20 minutes. And then literally set an alarm on your phone, and when your phone beeps, you'll be like, oh, my phone's ringing, I'm really sorry, or whatever. Or be like, oh, look, it's 20 minutes already. Like, whatever you need to do, like, people need to learn that access to you is not a given. You matter. You matter, right? You do. Third point was what specifically is causing you to feel weary. So like, if I said to you, what is it? What is it that's causing this feeling of being weary and exhausted? What would that be? 4th point, what do you need? Do you need a break? Right? Do you need a cup of coffee with a friend? Do you need someone to listen to you? Do you need to hire someone to support you? What do you need? And the fifth thing was you can take a break from personal development. It is absolutely okay to take a break from personal development at any time for any reason, and especially if you're feeling like you need to integrate what you've been learning so far, right? You can take a break. It's okay. So I hope that was really helpful to the person that asked this question, and also to all of you. If you have any questions for me, don't be shy, drop them in the comments. If it's a question I feel will really help everyone, then I'll answer it. If it's a question that feels like it's really, really specific to you, then it might be worth working with me one-to-one, right? And the details of how to do that are on my website, cherylmuir.com. But mostly, I think the questions I'm being asked are things that would apply to all of you. And if that's the case, then I'll certainly make another video like this, a Q&A video, where I can get into it and help you and give you some support. I'm going to link the video again up above that this comment was underneath. And therefore, you're going to be aware of the context around that, that messaging and where that came from. Yeah. I hope that really supports you. If you're not already, do come and hang out with me on Instagram. That's where I'm spending the most amount of time these days. So you can come and see me there. And yeah, thank you. Thank you so much for being here. And if you need to take a break from personal development, then consider this your permission slip.